Alrighty, let's get started. The new material for today is that we are going to learn Python. Okay, a little bit about Python. This is, and again, this all I'm saying is going to be found inside of your curriculum for today under lecture materials. So Python originally came out in 1991. It's what's called a dynamically typed high-level languages, meaning that it's written on top of another language. So Python, when you type Python code, it translates into C code. So Python's a high-level language, C is a low-level language. And high and low basically refer to how close it is to your computer's CPU, your central processing unit. So when you write Python and you execute it, it actually translates into C. C translates it into assembly code. So it's kind of like saying I am it. So I was recently in Taiwan, and in Taiwan, my grandfather has an elderly live-in helper, and she's from Indonesia. I don't know how to communicate with this person from Indonesia. She doesn't know how to speak English, and she barely knows how to speak Chinese. So it's hard for me to be able to communicate with her. So I'm speaking in English into Google Translate, which will process something and then translate that into Indonesian. And that's how we communicated, which was I had to speak into Google Translate, and then Google Translate would speak into something else. And that's kind of what's happening here with Python. I'm writing Python. Python's being translated into C. C's translating into assembly, and then your computer's executing on the assembly language. So that means that it's really easy for you to write, but it's there's more layers of abstraction. Granted, nobody really cares about performance to that extent these days, but if you're doing stuff like game development, and you're worried about frames per second, you generally want to use a lower level language, kind of like C or C++, because it's much faster. But it's also really hard to write. Most people these days are learning Python or learning Java or Ruby or something like that because they're easy to learn. But just know that there is a high-level language and there is a low-level language. So both JavaScript and Python are high-level languages where you can just do first name equals one thing and then first name equals another thing, and then it'll automatically change the memory address underneath the hood. But in real life, what's happening is when I say first name equals something, it's assigning one memory address and then going to reassign it. If you were to type the same thing inside of C, you have to literally find what's the next available memory address inside my computer, assign it to first name, and then I have to find that exact same one and then reassign it. But yeah, you don't really need to worry too much about that, but that's just a little bit about Python. All right, so I know some people might be a little scared to learn something new because you're like, I barely understand JavaScript, and why would you ever make me learn Python at the exact same time? And I feel like this is an important thing. Most programmers, most software engineers don't work in one language their entire career. There are some people that I know who started in Java, continued in Java, and are still in Java even today. But the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. Learning a programming language is basically once you learn the fundamentals, everything else is just syntax. And we're going to show that off right over here. And finally, the last thing I'll say is that being a software engineer, I want to make it so that when you start off here, learning new languages will be daunting, but once you learn a new language right at the beginning and you get used to learning new languages very quickly, you'll never need to worry about that for the rest of your career. So that's why we're doing this. But yes, this is going to be mostly a JavaScript and Python bootcamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two screens on my machine right over here. And I'm going to split the screen. One side is going to be JavaScript and one side is going to be Python. So I'm at my desktop right now. I want to create a folder called example. What is the command? What is the bash command to create a folder?
mkdir.
mkdir. Make a directory called example. I'm going to list out everything, and there's that example folder. So I'm going to cd inside of example. I'm going to open up that whole thing right over here. All right. I want to create two files. The first one is going to be example.js, and the other one's going to be example.py, py for Python. How do I do that? Touch. I'm going to do example.js, and I could also do example.py. I create two at the same time, and you can see that both of them are going to pop up here on the left-hand side. Double click, double click. I'm going to get rid of this for now. I'm going to split this to the right. I'm going to right-click it, press split right, so you can see everything that I'm doing side by side. Now we're going to just do some pretty simple stuff. I'm just going to say hello. How do I say hello? How do I print out hello inside of JavaScript? Anybody have any idea how to do it in Python? Yep. How do I get rid of this? Same thing. Console log prints it out to the screen. Print prints it out to the screen. I want to run the JavaScript one, so I'm going to run node example.js, and I have hello. Pretty simple. JavaScript 101. If I want to run something in Python, I just run Python example.py, hello. So node for JavaScript, Python for Python. All the math remains exactly the same. So if I wanted to console.log 1 plus 2, that's the same thing. What is with this? Same thing as doing print 1 plus 2. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are all the exact same thing. So if I run this again, hello 3, and I go up to node, hello in 3. The only big difference that I've noticed is that inside of, if let's say that I want to do, let's do 5 divided by 2, and I just want to get the whole number rounded down, I have to do math.floor in order to get 1. Sorry, 2. Okay. Whereas if I were to do the exact same thing inside of Python, it would be 5 with 2 signs going down to 2. Exact same thing. So arithmetic operations are exactly the same thing. Now let's say that I want to assign myself a first name. Inside of JavaScript, is a first name something that can or cannot be changed? It can be changed. So what would I use for that? Let. So I'm going to say let first name equal Jonathan. I never liked the name Jonathan when I was younger. I always thought it was kind of nerdy. I always wanted to be named Chris or Ray. Ray was like a cool name back in the day. All right, so this is the way that I declare first name. And I'm going to just console log first name. Node example.js. I'm just going to say hello and then 3 Jonathan. I'm going to comment all this out. What do you notice about the comments? JavaScript has 2 forward slashes, and the way you can determine a forward and backslash is if you're standing straight up, if you're leaning forward, it's a forward slash. If you're leaning backwards, it's a backslash. This, if you imagine that somebody is standing straight up and it's this symbol, if I'm leaning forward, it's that. If I'm leaning backward, it is that. This is how I declare a variable inside of JavaScript. Inside of Python, it's similar, but you don't have to put let and const at the beginning. Another thing to think of is that this is what's called camel cased, which means that it's kind of like every single new word, there is an uppercase letter, kind of like the humps of a camel. When it comes to Python variables, they're going to have an underscore. This is what's called snake case. So every new word, you have an underscore to separate everything that's new. Camel cased on the left, snake cased on the right. Python example.py. Jonathan. Node example.js. Jonathan. Exact same things on the exact same lines. Yes, sir.
How would you make like a const version of like Python?
Good question. So the question was, let's say that I have const force of gravity. Force of gravity is something that is not. It's something that won't change, right? That's 3.2 meters per second. What's that? 9.8. What am I thinking of?
Speed of light. No.
9.81. I'm not a science person. So let's say, either way, the force of gravity is something that doesn't change, right? So that's why I have const force of gravity, and that's 9.81. This is something that won't change. I put const in the front. I believe the same thing in Python is just going to be force of gravity in all uppercase.
Okay.
So if you try to change the force of gravity in Python with all uppercase, you'll get an error.
You should, though I think I tried this last time and it also broke. Let's figure it out. Constants in Python. Okay. So it looks like I have to do two things. One is you have to actually declare the variable. You have to create a file called main.py and then import the constant library and assign the, at that point you can,
Okay.
you wouldn't be able to do it. You would need something separate, yeah. All right, let's take a look. What is it called if you're standing straight up? It's a pipe. Let's continue on. I'll keep these two exactly the same. We're on line 9 now. Numbers are the same thing in both languages. Booleans are a little bit different, so let's talk about Booleans. // True with a capital T, false with a capital F. True with the lowercase t, false with lowercase f. Otherwise, exactly the same thing. Comments we talked about already. 2 forward slashes in JavaScript, # inside of Python. And let's talk about like just real quick conditional logic. So what is the, who's the youngest person in the room? Who's younger than 20? Who's younger than 25? All right, I'm just gonna say someone's ages. All right, I know this is not true anymore, sadly. We did have one person that was, the youngest person was 20 years old. And we were sent a message saying that if you ever have alcohol, you can't, this person cannot participate. So John's age is equal to 18. So I've got two variables. Let John's age equal to 18, and I have John's age equal to 18. Let, because this is something that can change. Python doesn't care about that. You can write over it as many times as you would like. All right, so let's say, what's the age of drinking in the US? Const, that's something that's not changing. Drinking age US is equal to 21. Same thing over here, drinking age US. That's fine.
What's the reason why Python is a snake case?
It's just a convention. It'll work with camel case as well. But this just people decided they like this better. All right, so let's say that we're going to create a quick if statement. If let's say that my age is greater than or equal to drinking age in the US, I will say welcome to the bar. Otherwise, I'll say come back later. So I'm just going to go with someone who hasn't spoken today. Can you tell me how to write that? If John's age is greater than or equal to the US drinking age, print one thing, otherwise print another thing. Tell me exactly what to type.
So if John's age is greater than or equal to, what was the second person?
The drinking age.
Yeah, so drinking age in US. Then squiggly brackets and drop. So we want to console something out, log out. What was the thing we want to do?
Okay, and then otherwise,
Else, yeah.
go away. Console.log, go away. I'm going to comment everything else out for right now, just so that this is the only thing that runs. So again, let's just read through this. Line 13, I set a variable called John's age equal to 18. I set the constant drinking age to 21. If my age is greater than or equal to that drinking age of the US, welcome to the bar, otherwise go away. Let's see if this works. Node example.js. go away. That's exactly what we expect to see happen. I'm going to do the same thing in Python, and you'll see that just a few differences. Oops. Okay, I'm going to comment everything out again, just like I did on the other one. We have two things that are identical. So let's run python example.py, go away. I'm going to just to prove that this works, I'm going to change both of these to 22. Python example, welcome to the bar, node example.js, welcome to the bar. These two things are identical. The thing with JavaScript is that I can squish this all into one line if I want to. As long as my curly braces are good, then it'll execute the way that I expect it to. Python is not like that. You need to have the colon and you need to have proper indentation. It will not run without that. So it's very simple. I don't have the curly braces. I mean, I don't have the parentheses here, so I can just write my if statement and then colon, and then the thing that you're going to execute. Otherwise, colon, print go away. I just have fewer things. Yeah.
Python did implement not using a ternary type of syntax.
Yep. What's the question?
Oh no,
They do. Yeah, you can. Are you saying that? Can I do?
You can do print welcome to the bar if John H is greater than Chicken H, else go away.
Both of them do ternary operation.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't have your indentations correctly? What will it return?
Blows up for you. Indentation expected an indented block. So it really does care very much if you have your spacing correct. I believe this will work with 2 spaces. Let's find out. It does work, but general convention is 4 spaces. And I think we set it up on the first day so that each tab that you do is 2 spaces. So just do tab tab to go in twice. Pretty simple. Let's say that I want to. Let's say I want to age. So I am currently 18, and I'm going to basically, I want to run this over and over again. Let's create like a bouncer program for a bar. So person comes up to you, gives you their age, and you basically say, you're not old enough if you are underneath 21, and then come back later. Otherwise, welcome to the bar, and then you're just going to keep aging that person until something happens. So if I did that inside of JavaScript, it'd be like, while John's age is less than the drinking age, I'm going to print, oops. I'm going to console log welcome, no, whoops, go away. This is how I do something over and over again. Go away, and I'm going to John's age plus, yeah, sure, plus plus. And at the very end, I'm going to print out. All right, so I've got John's age starting at 18. The drinking age of the US is 21. So while my age is less than this, I'm going to console log go away and then increment my age. And then finally, I'm going to say welcome to the bar once this whole thing runs. So if I run.
Do less than equal to? No.
Nope.
Sorry. No.
Okay. So go away, go away, go away. Welcome to the bar. Go away is not terribly descriptive. I want to say like go away. You are only X years old. So I'm going to do something called interpolation, which is basically take the value of a particular variable name and then shove it in at a particular point. You can think of this as a giant form letter. So when you get your bills in the mail, it says, dear, Jim. Like they're not writing you a specific email, a specific piece of mail. They're finding your database record and inserting your first name. That's exactly what's happening here. So how do I interpolate inside of JavaScript? Backticks, go away. You are only blank years old. I believe it's $, curly brace. gosh. You're only, let's see if this works. Go away. You are only 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old. So I've got a loop right over here. Pretty simple. Let's change this over here to be the same thing. So it's pretty much the same thing. While John's age is less than drinking age US, print, I think it's F. Nope, that's F here.
Yeah, F string. Oh,
F string. Go away. You are only, I think it's just that.
Yeah.
John's age years old. And I'm going to do John's age plus. And then at the very end, print. Welcome to the bar.
If you use the ticks like you did over in the while loop in JavaScript, will that also print in Python? If you use all three, just the regular double quotes, single quotes, and then the ticks as well?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So in Python, if you used the ticks instead of like the double quotes in that statement, will you still print out a statement there?
Oh, you're saying, can I use the same backticks inside of JavaScript and Python? Will it do the same thing?
Well, yeah, like you have like the print, the welcome to the bar, you have single quotes, double quotes. Does it matter? Doesn't matter.
Oh, I see what you mean. So do I have to have double quotes inside the printf string inside Python? You do not. You can do single quotes. And I believe this will still work. Let's try both.
Is it the same with the tick marks too?
The tick marks you do need if you're interpolating. If you have single quotes, it'll actually print out the single quotes. Pretty sure. Let's find out. All right, let's run node example.js. Go away, you're only 18 years old. So in JavaScript, it appears that if you don't have the backticks, you can't interpolate at all. Yeah.
But you can use backticks even if you're not interpolating, right?
Yes. You generally just, so it's, yeah, good question. Let's take a look at that. So I generally put backticks when it's to notify other engineers that, hey, I'm about to interpolate something. I could do the same thing inside of JavaScript just by doing this and then plus I could do single quotes and then just do a plus and then add in my age and then plus years old. Let me comment this. But why do way more typing than if you don't have to? Inside of this over here, you do need the F in order to interpolate. You could also do the plus again, but again, why do more typing than you have to? Python example.py. Welcome to the bar. While John, oh wait, I didn't change it, that's fine. Go away, you're only 18, 19, and 20. Did that answer your question? I feel like I did not.
No, sorry, my question was why not just always use backticks? When I was starting to learn some Java, I assume it's the same thing, printf.
Java or JavaScript?
Line. You can use a formatted line whether you're using a format.
Yeah, that,
so
yeah, that's fine.
Not to just by default.
No, I generally, so I will only do backticks if I'm interpolating. If I'm just printing something regularly, I'll have single quotes. It's just easy. It'll execute the exact same way, but you're writing code mostly for other people because other people will read your stuff. So if I see a backtick, I'm expecting that I'm interpolating something right away. Same thing here. I could do printf without interpolating anything, but when the moment I see F, which means formatted string, I know that I'm going to interpolate something. So it'll still work without it, with or without like something to interpolate, but why do that? Okay, let's do one last function, and then we will solve factorial. I'll give you a heads up, I'll help you out with factorial in Python. Let's write a quick method. I'm going to comment all this out. Comment all this out. Let's have a greeting. Write a program. that takes in a first name and says hello first name. Inside of JavaScript, it's pretty simple. I'm going to just write const say hello. Say hello takes in a first name, and I'm just going to console.log. Hello there, first name. Everyone's following with me on this one? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same thing inside of Python after I call say hello for John. And I forgot to put a capital H. Capital H. Say node example.js. Oh my God. Okay, hello there, John. So I've got my method right over here. Const say hello is equal to fat arrow function. Takes in an argument, fat arrow, and then the body of the actual method itself. Same thing over here. I'm going to do this exact same thing. It's just going to be def say hello, which takes in a first name. And it's just going to say print f hello there, first name. That's it. I'm going to just say hello, John. I'm going to run Python example.py, and I get the exact same thing. You may lean one way or the other. You may like JavaScript more than Python or Python more than JavaScript. It's the thing I'm trying to point out is it's just syntax. It's just syntax that's going to change. You're going to have to Google a lot more, but overall, it's the exact same concept underneath the hood. So I'm actually not a Python developer. I'm not naturally a Python developer. I did Ruby for the first 5 years of my career, and then Venmo forced me into Python, which meant that I forced Code Platoon into Python. But again, it's very, very similar if I were to do the exact same thing in Ruby. So if I were to create a new file, example.rb, and I'm going to open that on the left side here. If I were to do the exact same thing, God, I haven't written this in def. Say hello, takes in a first name. Print, God, hello there. Is it this?
Yeah.
First name. If I run that, it's be ruby example.rb. Is it just P?
You didn't
I didn't call it. Yeah. Hello there, John. Exact same thing.
Which one do you like better, Python or Ruby?
I'm naturally a Ruby person, but I have not written Ruby in like a few years. I see the value of each one, to be quite honest. I just don't like JavaScript because of all the curly braces. But some people prefer the curly braces because they know exactly where everything starts and ends. Yeah.
What are you using right now at Venmo?
Python. Yeah, 100% Python. All right. With that, we learned a little bit about the basics. A lot of this will be Google today, but I want to show you just how easy it is to translate. Once you write really good pseudocode, translating between JavaScript and Python. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to CD out one level, list out everything. I want to open up factorial. I'm going to open that up right here. Oh, look at that. So I'm just going to run the Python portion right over here. I'm just going to grab this whole thing, jump inside of Python, and I'm going to replace all of these with hashtags so that they are comments. All right, create a function called factorial, done. Factorial takes an argument number, done. Create an output variable and set it equal to 1. Create a loop that starts at number and ends at 1. I don't know how to do that. Python loop. There's a for loop inside of Python.
The only problem is integers aren't iterable in Python, right?
It is true. That is very true. The continue statement, the range. Okay, it looks like this is something. To loop through a set of code a specified number of times, we can use the range function. The range function returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0 by default and increments by 1 and ends at a specific number. All right, for x in range 6, print x. Let's run that and let's see what happens. It looks like it starts at 0, and goes up to, it runs something 6 times. All right, so let's say that we can just copy this. Come back over here, create a loop that starts at number and ends at 1. I'm going in the opposite direction. This one seems to be going up rather than going down. Maybe let's Google that. Python loop decrement. Okay, we got Stack Overflow, and if you have not realized this by now, Stack Overflow is a place where people in the community come to ask questions. The questions are the ones at the very top, and if you scroll down over here, the check mark is the one that people have agreed, the author has agreed on, saying that this is the answer that I accept. The 10 over here is the number of upvotes that it has gotten. The check mark and the number are usually directly correlated, but sometimes there are better answers that are not accepted by the author of the question that you might find further down. In this case, it's okay. So for x in range, starting at particular number 3 going down by 3, I don't know what that means. Let's just run this and see what we get. I'm just going to comment this out for right now. For x in range 3, 9, 3, I'm going to guess that this is starting condition, ending condition, what you're actually doing each time. Same thing as in JavaScript. Let's run this. Python factorial.py 9, 6, and then it stops at 3, and then it goes down by 3. Okay, let's say if I do 2, 9, 6, and 3. So it looks like it's a starting point, the ending point, but not including the actual number itself, and then what I'm doing each time. So with that, I believe I can do create a loop that starts at num, goes down to 1, and then -1 each time. Keep track of the number. So I'm going to call it current num, or current num. If I do factorial of 4, it should be 4, 3, 2, and then stop. Let's see if this works. Oh my God. Okay. Somebody help me. I'm not sure what's going on here. Somebody help me. It blew up. And
I said on line 3, after the word 4,
yep,
there is a variable current num.
Yep.
It's supposed to be the same variable inside the parentheses on line 3.
Yep.
Instead of num, it should be current num, or the addition method, basically.
Cool. So that's actually completely correct. So if you take a look right over here, it says print x on line 4. X is not defined. Current num is right over here. I'm just going to replace that there, and hopefully this will work. It'll print out 4, 3, 2, and stop. 4, 3, 2, and stop. So it says this is the starting condition. This is the ending condition, but I'm not actually going to reach that. And then I'm going to decrement by 1 each time.
Is there a reason it doesn't reach the stop point? Because it just stops before.
It stops before that, exactly. I could just do 0 here and 4, 3, 2, 1, but there's no point. You can think of it just like the regular for loop inside of JavaScript. It's going to be for let current num equal num. Current num is greater than 1. That's essentially what's happening here. And then current num minus minus. So you can kind of see, like, really just syntactically very, 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 very different, but the concept underneath the hood is the same thing. So I've got print the current num. Let's see. I'm done with number 4. Multiply output by current num and return the output. Output times equals current num.
I think you have to define the output first. Create a variable.
It's at the top. Clear the screen. 24. Let me put this side by side so you can see factorial.js and factorial.py at the same time. All right, so I've got output is equal to 1, output equal to 1. I don't have to put the let in the front. 4, let current num equal num, num is greater than 1, num minus minus, times equal and return. Same thing here, it's just slightly syntactically different. Your job for today will be to solve the challenges that you've done so far in JavaScript, but do them all in Python. So I've done factorial for you. I'm not going to push it up because I want you to do it again. You're going to solve 99 bottles. Def grammar is going to be a lot easier because you don't have to import anything. Roman numerals, factorial, and linear search. So today is a solo day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're going to work by yourself. Pairing is optional. If you do want to pair, I do recommend that. And Tuesday, Thursdays are going to be pairing days. Are there any questions on Python stuff? All right. Let's take 5 minutes, and we're going to come back at 10:40, and then I'll do what's called a Beyond Tech, which is our soft skills curriculum. And then we should be done around 11:05, and then we can get started on the work. So let's take 5 minutes and come back.